Hello everybody, welcome back, and I am TheChornick, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about the last episode of Takagi-san Season 2, Episode 12, the finale, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to review it, alright? It's so sad to say that. I really just don't want this show to end. This show is like a drug of happiness, you know what I mean? Like, you just can't get enough of it, like, that it makes me so sad to have to wait for a whole year just to maybe see a season 3, and I am praying for a season 3 and for it to come quickly, because I cannot live without this show. Like, this show is like water. Like, right when you start consuming it, you can't live without it. You just want more, like, and that's what I'm gonna end up having my big negative point about this episode, is that it's making me just want more. And I guess that's a good feeling to have. A good negative feeling to have is that you just want more and you just don't want it to end, and that's the only criticism that you're really giving the show, is that, don't stop, you know what I mean? So, like, I want more, and I felt like that was, like, my biggest criticism about this episode, is that, no, this can't be it. Like, I wanted more. This wasn't satisfactory enough for me, I can't wait a whole nother year for maybe a season 3, which I'm pretty sure they're gonna release, especially due to the fact that this episode was pretty open-ended. Like, it definitely set it up in a way that there could definitely be a season 3. This episode, and I guess we'll talk about the negative parts, my criticisms about this episode first, and then we'll go into the positives, of course, but I feel as if things are just going way too slowly. Their romance, their relationship is building very, very slowly, like too slowly, especially due to the fact that we have to wait a whole year just to see another season. And my worry and my fear is that season 3 is gonna be very similar to season 1 and season 2, where they're not officially a couple, and it's just gonna be more of like similar teasing. And I'm just wondering in my mind, like, how are they going to make the teases better than season 2? Of course, they upped the game up from season 2 from season 1, right, in comparison. So how are they going to make season 3's teases even better if they're still not officially a couple? And this is where I'm going in with my biggest criticism for this episode, is that they weren't officially a couple here. I mean, by all means, it was an official date. Like, they just didn't call it that. Nishikata just didn't admit it, but it was a date, yes. But he didn't admit it, which, in my opinion, I freaking hated, because in the last episode, it didn't do justice for the last episode's ending, which Nishikata took every ounce in his body to pull off, to finally come back and ask her out to the summer festival, only to, like, deny that it's actually a date when they actually go there? Like, what? And so that's what really pissed me off about this episode, is like how amazing that scene was back in episode 11, where he asked her out, and the voice acting, and how happy Takagi was, and this was a date. But he was still denying, even after all that effort that he put in to finally be a man and ask her out, just to end up going back to square one by just saying, like, oh, this is not a date, no one thinks of us like that. But, like, come on, man, you've been through this so many times, and yeah, now you're just pushing it back to square one. Like, that's what ultimately pissed me off about this episode, is that it just didn't satisfy me, putting fear in my mind that season 3 is gonna furthermore not make them a couple either, and it's just gonna be like the climactic moment is gonna be them kissing on the forehead or something, or him giving her a flirt or something, but them still not being a couple, you know what I mean? That's my fear, is because I don't want to wait year after year after year for them to still not be a couple then, because it's painful to watch them not be a couple, because you want them to be happy, and oh my gosh, that's my criticism, is that I'm in pain for not seeing them be happy and not seeing them be a couple finally, you know what I mean? Like, of course they're happy here, and they're smiling, and they're blushing, and it makes you feel good, but I just want them to achieve, like, their final happiness by being together and whatnot. And of course, we already know that Nishikata and Takagi end up getting married, and they have their kid and whatnot, okay? We know that. But for anime purposes, I don't want to wait a year to see that. I want it now, you know what I mean? Like, and I guess their slow progression through the relationship is maybe a good thing, because it allows us to have more episodes of Takagi, to see more of their story, to make it last longer. But with the fact that we have to wait a whole year just to see more is what bugs me. And that's why ultimately here, especially through the last episode where it took Nishikata everything in his body just to ask her out, just for him to act like it's not a date in this episode, like, that's what was my biggest criticism. That's just what I'm like, what are you doing, man? You know, like, don't take a step backwards. You took a huge leap forward, and now you're just taking a step back, and that's what my ultimate criticism, my ultimate negative part about this episode is. However, there were a lot of parts that I did like about this episode, and you know, they brought back the whole holding the hands, and we all knew that that was going to be the climax, you know, the climactic moment, the big ending, which it was. They, even at the ending song, they showed all the moments where they referenced the hand holding and the hands, and all leading up to this moment where he finally just went in and held her hand. Now that we're talking about the positives, what I really like about this episode, a couple different things. For the first thing, it was they finally held hands, right? But two, Takagi was extremely freaking cute in her outfit. That was another thing that just throughout this entire episode, she was just looking absolutely adorable. And another thing I liked is the legend that we have to talk about, okay? The legend of Kimura, alright? This man, the myth, the legend, alright? Kimura was our hero in this episode. Like, when he screamed out, like, Nishikata, like, to show him where Takagi was and help him out find her, like, that was just such an amazing moment. Like, he is our hero. Like, we need to, credit's not given to him enough. Like, he is the friend that we all need. You know, he's like the definition of a great friend. Kimura, the man, the myth, the legend that is him. He is definitely the star of this episode. And I also really liked the song that they were playing when Takagi and Nishikata were trying to find each other. You know, and even like how it was talking about how they're looking for each other frantically, and how they're desperately trying to look for each other, and how once they find each other, you know, they're never gonna let each other go and stuff like that. And that whole song was played very beautifully with the fireworks going on, and the urgency and the frustration and the faces of Takagi and Nishikata. And I just really liked that song that was being played, and that whole moment was just very pure and just heartwarming to see, as well as, you know, like, we're just like desperately wanting them to, you know, get back with each other. And it leads up to that point where Takagi's on top of the steps and Nishikata's at the bottom, and they start running towards each other, and we just see like a good solid 10 seconds of them just running towards each other on those steps. And it was so, I like, the entire time that was happening, I was just sounding like a dying crow out there. Oh, I'm sorry, but if you guys do not sound like a dying crow from watching this, you know, show, then I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. Like, if you guys aren't being like, ah, at every single moment that happens, like, what is wrong with you? Like, it was just a really beautiful moment to see, and I was just freaking going crazy every moment of it. My cheeks were hurting, gonna fall off my face. But then Nishikata goes in and just grabs her hand, and he doesn't want to get separated from her, and he just does it to hold her hand. Like, the whole tease that Takagi, or the game that they were playing, where Nishikata was supposed to do something date-wise, you know, romantic with her. Okay, what do couples do on dates? Well, they hold hands on dates. Okay, but Nishikata, he didn't hold Takagi's hand because he wanted to win that fight. Like, he did it just for another motivation. You know, what was his motivation? Like, why did he hold her hand? Like, of course he didn't want to get separated from her, so maybe that was the motivation. Again, maybe he really felt that, you know, he needed to because he knew that they liked each other or something like that. So ultimately, like, that hand holding, Nishikata didn't hold her hand because, oh yeah, this is going to make me win the game. He held it for other reasons. It's for other motivations. So big up to Nishikata there for finally holding her hand. You know, it's the thing that particularly the season was building up to. And at the very final moment of this episode, which I also really liked, was that Takagi basically told Nishikata that he hasn't been losing at all. To me, that really got to me, and I'm just like, dang, like, Nishikata, he has been winning this whole time. You know, what she means by that is, like, he's been winning her heart the whole time. Yeah, he might not, you know, he feels as if he's been losing all these games and whatnot, but in reality, he's been winning Takagi's heart the whole time, and I think that's, like, the point that she was making. And, like, So he's never been losing, essentially, because he's always been winning. So ladies and gentlemen, post it in the comment section below your thoughts and feelings about this. What do you think is going to happen in Season 3? Personally, I think we really need to keep our eye out for what happens in the first episode of Season 3, because that's probably what's going to be the climactic moment at the end of it. So, for example, in this season, Season 2, they had Takagi and Nishikata, like, the first mention of hand-holding. And that finally happened here, where he held her hand at the very, very end. So in my opinion, Season 3, they're gonna say something, or something's gonna happen in the first episode, and then that's gonna be what the finale thing is gonna be about, where he's gonna finally achieve that in the final episode. Whatever it's gonna be. Maybe it's a kiss. Because I heard that in the manga, he kisses her on the forehead. It apparently is his first kiss to her, so maybe that's what's gonna happen. I haven't read the manga myself, but that's what I've been hearing, so maybe that's what we'll see at the very, very end. Of course, I just don't want to wait years and years for another Takagi episode, but that's just overall my review. I don't want to keep this review too long, so just post your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I love your faces. Can't wait to see you next one. I'm gonna miss this Takagi show, and I'll be making more videos about Takagi, top 10s, top 5s, or like the songs or moments of the show, stuff like that. I'll be posting more Takagi stuff in the meantime while we're waiting for Season 3 to begin. So make sure you subscribe if you have not yet. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one, and peace off. Thank you very much.